Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, 11 o'clock start, and we're going to be looking at the final steps of submitting your VAT return, so step 3. As it says in front of you there, effortlessly complete and submit your return. My name's Matt. You may have heard my voice before. If not, hello. Now, today's webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes. I'm going to be very honest with you again from the start. It's probably not going to be that long. You're probably going to get some time back. So if you're in charge of your own day, make yourself a cup of tea. If not, ask your manager for permission so you can have a cup of tea afterwards. But we should be looking at around about 25, 35 minutes. What are we going to be looking at first off? What's the itinerary for this session? Well, we're going to be looking at manually and automatically submitting VAT transfer journals. What are they? What does it entail? We're going to be looking at the bank receipt and the bank payment that you may have to do as well at the end of reconciling your VAT, finding out what your liabilities are. Then we're going to have a quick look at a video that Michael made on the VAT submission. Because we're not using a live atmosphere here, I don't want to be submitting any kind of returns to HMRC in a training environment. So we're going to be looking at a video that guides us through that process. And throughout this, obviously, ask questions. So what I'm here for is to answer them. Now, the rules on that, if you haven't been here before and you don't know the rules, these are the rules. If you have, you'll know them already. Your microphone automatically is muted. So if you want to sing along to the radio, do not worry. I'm not going to be able to sing along with you and nobody will hear you. If you need to cough or sneeze again, you're not going to interrupt us whatsoever. You're muted. So take assurance in that. I've attached a copy of today's slides, a black and white and also colour version. It contains handy tips and tricks as well as links to click on to our Help Centre articles. So download those now and it's done, and it means you won't forget. And also they're good to keep for reference in the future. You want to save them on a file or folder on your desktop. You can always revisit them if you need to test your own knowledge. It is just me today. I am the only voice that you'll hear, and I'm the only one able to answer any questions. If you do have any questions, it's that speech bubble with the question mark in, send it in. And because it is only me today, I am flying solo, as it were. If you could be a bit patient with me, that would be fine. I will try and answer as many questions as I possibly can do during this period of time that we have. Those more complex questions, I may follow up with you afterwards if it needs a wee bit of thought, if that's okay. So thank you for your understanding straight away on that. Without further ado, we're 3 minutes in, let us begin and have a look at VAT transfer journals. And again, apologies if I refer to this as VAT, it's force of habit. I will try and stick to the correct pronunciation, VAT transfer journals. So why do we need to post them? Essentially, they're used to transfer the values from your sales and purchase tax control account into your VAT liability tax codes. That's quite simply it. So that's why you need to post them, to make sure that all the correct values are in the correct place. We're basically moving amounts from 2 nominal codes, your sales and purchase tax control account, into one, a different one. And that's basically because you can't make the payments directly into them, because you may be ending up doubling your figures. So you wouldn't pay from one nominal code to the other in this instance, you transfer it across. So what happens if you don't do that? If you don't do that, you're going to have an accumulative figure in your sales tax control account and your purchase tax control account. That's not the end of the world. Okay, it's not something that you have to do. It's just when you come to running certain reports, it may not give a true reflection of that period that you're looking at. So for me, no, it's not ultimatum, yes, you must do this and transfer these balances. It is optional for you to do. I would recommend doing it, and anybody at Sage would, because it just gives you a truer reflection of your figures when you run reports. And if you were to quickly glance at the nominal code, you would see what the amounts were at their true value, i.e. not 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, or whatever your VAT period is for your business. You won't see it all gathered in there and have to unpick what those numbers actually mean. So it's not detrimental, but it's kind of like having an untidy room. You know where everything is, roughly, But isn't it better for it to be where it should be so you can find it quite easier? So it gives you a true reflection of what is owed to HMRC or to ROS for those in the Republic. Now, your VAT may not always be a zero balance, by the way, on your sales tax control account, and that is because hopefully you're always processing. You're always putting something through. So if you were to transfer the journals across, perform this process, and you look at your nominal code and there's a balance there, for example, of 5421.80, as you can see in front of you, don't panic, because that just means that somebody's processed something, a sale, essentially. So it's not always going to be zero. You're not always going to see zero. Okay. So let's see how that actually looks. I'm going to show you an incomplete transfer first in the program. And as you can see from the screen in front of you there, at the top here, I'm using my demonstration data that I built. So it's a small data set, incomplete VAT transfer. What does it look like? So if you go to your nominal codes section on the left, and you could do this in your demonstration data if you wanted to, you want to have a look. And I've already pre-selected it like Blue Peter. Here's one I built earlier. You can see my sales tax control account, 77560. My purchase tax control account, 144.20. A VAT liability, 566.60. Again, your figures will be different. I'd be very, very surprised if they're all the same. But that's essentially what it looks like when they're incomplete. And these are the nominal codes by default, I must add, that you would be checking on in your nominal codes list. Sales tax control account, purchase tax control account, VAT liability. Now let's just say you wanted to find these quickly. This is just a side tip. Again, I would type in sales into the filter box, click search, and you can see sales tax control account straight away. If I just wanted to look at purchase, guess what? I would type purchase, and I would have a look there. And then if I wanted to check on VAT, I would type in VAT liability. Or I could just scroll down on the list, I'll highlight that, and locate the nominal codes myself if I know where they are. Just a little handy tip for you there. If you don't use the search bar, it's very quick for you to find that. Excellent. So your VAT liability, when it's transferred, should show as zero. Let's have a look at that then. So file, I'm going to look at my other company data here, and you can guess what this one is called. It is called transfer complete. Look at that. So I'm just going to wait for this one to open straight away, and we'll go straight down to the same section. Again, this is just a demonstration of me showing you what it looks like. You don't have to access two separate companies, just in case that question was in your mind here. As you can see, I've just switched over to a different version, which is VAT transfer complete, just to show you exactly what it would look like. And again, what I'm going to do in this one is I'm just going to scroll down to the actual section. I know where it lies. And here you have a complete transfer. This is what it looks like afterwards. As you can see from what I said before, earlier, and I was £64.80 there, but that's because I've been processing, okay? So that's nothing for me to worry about whatsoever. That's a good thing, if anything. It's a positive. If it was a zero in there, I'll probably want to have a look at my transactions and find out why nobody had been processing. But yes, you'll always expect to see something in there. But as you can see from the other boxes, you've got zero debit, zero credit because you've transferred the liability over and it squared itself off. So now your VAT liability is at zero. Doesn't display the zero, obviously, because there's nothing there. It's a non-figure to show. Any questions on that? Keep them firing in. But hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory there. Now back over to the slides. I'm going to switch over to my other data actually first, because we're going to go through the incomplete data set in order to show you the process. So I'll just wait for this to go and then we'll jump straight back over to the slides. Excellent. So now you can see we're back in incomplete. Just to double check this again, just to labour the point, I'm going to scroll down and there you can see this is the incomplete. We're back in to incomplete here. So you can see what my VAT liability is there. Hasn't been transferred over. So, see what the differences are. Back to the slides. What do the VAT transfer journals move? Sales tax, the amount from the first box goes on the VAT return. Purchase tax, this is the amount either that you would owe, if that makes sense. So on the UK VAT return, the VAT transfer journal moves the balances of the following boxes minus any VAT adjustments. So depending on where you are, box 1, box 4. Now, to post them manually, because we've seen what we need to do, in order to post them manually, essentially I'm going to show you in a demonstration, but this is the box that you're going to be able to see. Essentially, you would access left-hand side nominal codes and at the top journal entry. Now, it's possible to save a little bit of time on this. The first time you do it is you could set it up as it is set up in the screen in front of you there, and then memorize that journal for future postings. Then all you need to do is go in and change the amounts, the figures. And that would be in professional. The manual process is open to human error though, and I do emphasize that. Now let's have a look at what I mean by that. So if I am to go into my nominal codes and I do click on journal entry, you can already see everything's blank in front of me. So now, and I'm not going to explain obviously what human error is to you all, pretty condescending. What I am going to demonstrate is how much I do actually have to complete in the introduction of it. So then there's not a transcription available. Sorry, the question came in there. Available, but what we can do is we can send you the recording of the webinar afterwards in the follow-up email. But there's nothing I can switch on at this side, unfortunately. Also, if you download the slides, it's pretty much what I'm saying if you were to download the slides through the webinar. Good question, though. So back to the demonstration. So you would go to nominal codes, journal entry, and then you would locate your nominal codes. Again, using the search feature, I would type in sales. I would go sales tax control account. What do I want to transfer that to? Well, it wants to go to the VAT liability. So again, I would transfer that over, VAT liability. And then next nominal code, purchase. As you can tell by the tone of my voice, it's quite monotonous, isn't it? It's purchase. Okay, do that. And then I will go back again, VAT. So I am physically setting this all up now. I would enter the codes, the amounts, sorry. Again, just for a quick demonstration, I'm going to put 20s here, manually type those in, and then I would complete the transfer. Also, you would have to select the date, the posting date, obviously the end of the period, the VAT period as well. If you've memorized this, you would press recall and it would bring up what you'd memorized previously. And then you would save, and that's manually posting the journals. The pro, if there's a pro and cons list available, the pro of this is that you've got ultimate control. So you basically, you know what is being typed in, where and when, and you can see it and you can physically say, right, I did do this, it's done. But that to me is also kind of works as a con as well, because what you are doing, to use the phrase again, is you're introducing human error, the potential for confusion. You're also adding steps, and Sage is a time-saving software. You adding steps in order to do this manually kind of defeats the point of Sage wanting to do it for you. And Sage does, the program does want to do this for you. So what's the best way? I'm going to ignore that now. Well, the best way is to go back to your VAT return. I'm going to pick on one here that hasn't been transferred. You can see Y for paid, N for the VAT not being transferred. I'm going to open this VAT return, and you can see here at the top, post journal. If I go to a more recent one, again, here's one I created earlier with minimal data, post journal. And the reason I know the VAT hasn't been transferred, I've left it there, is VAT transferred, N. It has on that one, but not on this one. So this answers another question that was asked earlier. So the question was, how would I go back and post the journals correctly? Just open up the VAT returns. This button in the top right hand corner here will post the journals for you for that period in time. It automatically populates the date, automatically puts the amount in. Everything is done. And considering the steps that we did manually, the steps that you do automatically is open your Sage 50, click on VAT, double click on the return, or highlight the return and click VAT return. I'm just going to double click, make sure it's the correct one, post the journal. Now I haven't run my year end yet, so I'm going to get this message. I'm just going to pause it for now. Click yes. Look at that, how quick that was. And the room for human error there is minimal. Now, when I close this, that N, for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you may have seen it already, but that N turned into a Y. And that's because the VAT has been transferred. We can't undo that once it's been done. Okay. You would have to unpick that manually. I would speak to the tech team in order to do that. But how easy that was, we can now double click in and look at that. Tick, it's been transferred. You'll note that the others haven't. So if we were to go to our nominal codes, we've still got a balance here. And that is simply because on the other VAT returns, the balances haven't been transferred across again. So if you are, another top tip, if you are a bit confused by why is there still things there, the first place I would go and have a look, do a bit of investigation, is see what's been transferred. So the point I was trying to hammer home with this demonstration is that why would you introduce the element of mistake when you can just rely on Sage to do it all for you in the background? It'll post those journals. And if you go to your transactions after you've clicked it, because you just want to double check, if you're like me, measure twice, cut once, you'll see Sage took care of it all. So yeah, that's the time saving element of it all. It's exactly the same as the bank payments and receipts that we're going to look at shortly. So just back to the slides now. Automatic posting of the journals. As you can see, top right hand corner takes care of it all. The benefits of it is time saving, removes human error, and also it's moved to the correct places because Sage is doing it automatically, so it can't be sent to the incorrect nominal code by accident with a misclick or anything like that at all. Nice and simple, very, very simple to do. Now, the bank receipt of payment, this depends obviously on what the liability is, if you're owed money or if you owe money. So it depends which one you would do manually. Now, why do you post it? Now, the payment to HMRC or the revenue, ROS, needs to be recorded in your Sage software. It's an audit software, isn't it? So you need to have that true vision of your figures, and your bank balance needs to reflect that you've paid or received your VAT, one of the two. So how would we do that? Well, there's two ways. Manually, it can be done in your bank accounts by doing a bank payment or bank receipt, or you can use the wizard. Now, let's have a look at what this would look like. It's always best to do a demonstration when it comes to this one, I think, so you can see it visually. I'm not going to do the bank receipt or bank payment. I'm presuming that we all know how to do those, so I'm not going to make you sit through me talking through how to do a manual bank payment or receipt. But just to show you quickly, you would obviously be in this area of your program, bank accounts, payments, bank payment, and you would set it up here. Again, all the empty boxes to fill in, all the dates to get correct, tax code, etc., etc., etc. You're introducing all these different elements into an equation, which could be quite simply done in your VAT nominal code, in your VAT section, sorry, the VAT module. So just to have a look again at the VAT return that we're looking at here, it's obviously pending because it hasn't been submitted. VAT is transferred because we've already done that, but you can see there's an N next to paid. And yes, that does mean no. There's a contradiction in the sentence there. So an N stands for no in this instance, Y stands for yes. This means it hasn't been paid. If we look at an old VAT return, the one previous, for example, you can see a tick has appeared and it says paid. But let's go into the one that we're focusing on, this new VAT return here. Automatically, it's got the bank. You would select the date yourself. We're going to make the payment yesterday, I'm going to say. The reference, VAT paid, and then you would click post bank payment. Now, another tip here as well, if you are lucky enough to receive VAT back, okay, and it's actually a receipt, this won't say post bank receipt, okay? It will still say post bank payment. So you might want to note that one down. It doesn't change the language of this button. However, it does change the nature of the transaction. So if you're owed money, it will post a receipt. So don't be fearful just because this word doesn't change here. It is going to post the correct result that you need. Okay. So you do have the option to change what account you want to change it out, what you want to pay it out of or receive it to. The details, the amount is already pre-populated for you. Again, you can do it all in one screen here after you've done the VAT transfer. If you've already paid it manually, like I showed you previously, for some reason I'm in this section of the program, so I'm just going to do it quickly while I'm here. Then you can just click this mark as paid. And look at that, everything grays out, can't be changed, and the tick there is paid. If you do that an error, don't worry, you can untick that box. But remember, if you do it manually, you're going to have to come back here anyway to tick this box. Again, you're introducing steps into your process. So why don't you just do everything in the one screen? So do your VAT transfer and then post your bank payment. As soon as I've clicked that, look at that, done. And because I didn't tick it as mark as paid and I've instructed Sage to do it, it takes that option away. So again, it's making sure that things can't be done twice. It's a fantastic way to end your VAT return. It's just making sure that these are all done correctly. Now, as always, you can add attachments. So if you have a letter from HMRC or ROS saying we owed you money, this is how much we're owing you, and it's for this particular VAT return, you could click on add attachments, browse to the file, attach it, click OK. If you wanted to do it all in one go, you can do that later on if you want, but while you're here, you might as well do it. Again, time saving. So yeah, back to the slides briefly. Automatic posting again. What does it do? Takes away human error, takes away time costing processes, extra steps that you don't need in your day-to-day, just to get things all done and dusted in the one screen, in the one section. Benefits everybody. So if I was to go back now, Y for yes. See, the VAT hasn't been transferred on these ones with the ends, but everything else has been paid. So again, back to the slides. This is why it's quite a quick webinar, this one, is because it's that simple to do. All you really have to concern yourself with, I feel, as I always say, is before you do any of this, is take a backup. Check your data and take a backup. Always create that save point that you can revert back to. Because if you are going to do things manually and there is a misclick or a mistype or something like that, it's a lot easier for you to revert back to before you made that mistake than it is to potentially unpick or follow the breadcrumbs as to what actually happened. Avoid all that. Still take the backup, but avoid all that element by just using the wizard. Let the wizard do it for you. So the VAT submission. So submitting your VAT return in the UK, obviously making tax digital is rearing its head. So everybody's going to be on top of making their tax digital using your accountancy software to keep in touch with HMRC or ROS. You know, that's all being enabled at the moment. So if you download this handout, this gives you a guide, a brief guide on how you can make sure that you are MTD ready, is what they're calling it. So making tax digital ready, not month to date, often confused, but making tax digital. Company preferences, VAT, and then put a little tick in that box. Once you've done that, you'll be able to activate the fact that you can submit your VAT returns online. And just make sure that you complete these details correctly, obviously, because there's no confusion with the information that you're sending over to HMRC. Same with ROI. Slightly different screen, obviously, and it works in a slightly different way. So you still need to submit it manually for ROI, and then you can go back in and tick this mark as submitted box. So it's still the good old way there. Let me now show you a video. I'm going to share it with you now that Michael made for you all. It's about how to submit your VAT return online. It's only a couple of minutes long, so you'll hear my voice again shortly, but I'm going to play it for you now and answer any questions that have come in. So I'll be back soon.
In this demonstration, we're going to show you the steps to submit your VAT return online. We join the demonstration where we're on step 3 of the VAT return, so it's already been reconciled, and we're ready to submit it online. So on the right hand side, we click Submit Online. The online submission wizard appears, and you click Next. Ensure that the correct company name and VAT registration number appears, and then click Next. An authority page appears, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you can then click Continue. You're then prompted to sign in with your Government Gateway user ID and password. Once entered, click Sign In. You then click Grant Authority. You'll then be prompted to choose your period, and it should default to the correct one. Just make sure this is correct, and then select the checkbox to say that you agree to the following HMRC declaration, and then click Submit to HMRC. Once completed, a congratulations message appears, indicating you successfully submitted your VAT return to HMRC. You click Close. You then return to the VAT return, and as you can see, the VAT return is now flagged as being submitted.
There we are. So hopefully we're all back and you can see my screen again. So it's as easy as that in order to submit your VAT using MTD. So in summary, what have we looked at today? Well, always ensure that you have a backup. Always, always, always. Check your data first. Make sure that the numbers that the process is calculating with are correct and there's no errors. And then take a backup to make sure that you've got that saved point you can return to. A VAT transfer is used to transfer the sales and purchase tax values to the VAT liability nominal code, which, if you do it routinely, should be at a 0. If not, it's not detrimental. Just means it could affect certain reports that you look at, depending on the reports that you're going to be looking at, obviously. Now, the VAT transfer wizard takes the pain out of posting those journals and the bank payments and receipts. Just do it automatically while you're in there. There's no traveling from one area of the software to another. Just use the wizard. Saves will do it for you. Now, the UK MTD submissions are sent digitally, as Michael explained there, direct from the software to HMRC, which is going to be the way moving forward. ROI submissions still require the .xml file to be downloaded and uploaded to the revenue. Not quite there yet, I believe. But it's as simple as that. It's a very easy process to go through. It's a bit daunting, I'll give you that. It is if you've never done it before. Even when you have done it before, sometimes you think, oh, I just want to check everything's correct. Take that back up before you do it. Make sure that before you click that submit button that you're happy with everything that is there, and then it's essentially just sending in the paperwork, isn't it? The virtual paperwork. Nice and easy. So during the video, there was a couple of questions that I've managed to answer there. If there's any further questions, if you ask them now, we've got a couple of minutes. So fire them in. What I want to do, though, is just while I have you, is show you our webinar page, just to show you what is coming up in the future. So hopefully you can see my screen if I show you now. You'll be able to see what's in front of you here, which is my webinar homepage. I would click on 50 Accounts Live. And once the internet wakes up a wee bit, you can have a look and see what's up and coming. Obviously, management reports badge, again, in May, we're running it due to popular demand. We're rerunning that badge. So if you haven't, please sign up to that one. It was a very, very good series that we ran, very popular. And now everybody gets to show off their digital badges on, their emails and also LinkedIn, just to let everybody know that you are proficient in management reports within Sage. You do meet that standard in Sage 50 accounts. Coveted badges, these are. We've also got the remainder of the month in there for April. So, for example, VAT Return Part 2 with me again next Wednesday. And then we've got our May schedule as well. But the important one for me is this badging event. Very popular. So sign up now, make sure you can get your space in. After you've attended 5 of 6 and also the quiz, which will be hosted by myself and Michael, you will be sent your Management Reports 2025 badge. Again, attach it to your LinkedIn. Let everybody know that you are proficient in that particular area. Now, if I've been sounding slightly distracted there while I was talking, it is because I was answering a question at the same time. Look at me, multitasking on a Thursday afternoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the slides. I'm going to thank you all for your time today. Thank you for turning up and joining in and asking the questions that were asked. If you do need anything at all, send us an email or get in touch with our chat department, sage.co.uk/help. We have an online chat system there as well. If you have any further questions, use the resources in the handout as well that have been sent to you. And on the way out of the door, if you could complete the satisfaction survey for me, let me know how I did today. That would be absolutely wonderful. If there's any topics you want covered in the future, also leave a comment and let us know, because we potentially, if enough people want them covered, we will add them to the webinar list. We read absolutely every single comment that you guys leave for us. So please, any feedback at all is more than welcome. Other than that, though, I'm going to let you all go now. Have that 10 minutes back. Go and have a cup of tea, whatever you want to do with 10 minutes. And I shall probably speak to you at some point next week. Bye for now.